You're listening to the In This League Fantasy Podcast Network at inthisleague.com. Download, lock in, and puck up. Hockey is here, and we've got the #1 podcast for fantasy hockey. It's the Roto Hockey Show with your hosts, Tony Healey and Brian Matthews.
And boom goes the dynamite.
Hello and welcome to the Roto Hockey Show. I'm Tony Healey here with Brian Matthews, ready to talk a little fantasy hockey. Episode 117. The last slate of games was played before the All-Star game tonight, Brian.
Everyone but the Kings were active tonight, so a very crazy night in the NHL.
No, it was crazy.
I think they said it was the only second time this year that they've had 15
every
games.
Team
yeah,
play.
15 games in a night.
It's crazy. That's a lot of hockey. I mean,
it is a lot of hockey. It's all right though.
Yeah, I'm not complaining.
No, it's makes for an action-packed evening, and there's been some crazy goals and some decent games out there. A couple blowouts, a couple close ones. So,
good Lord, the Montreal game was insane, absolutely insane.
It's a good way to go into the break. I think.
I think so.
A nice giant slate of, and like you said, some craziness in there.
Those of you that played Charles Hudon tonight in DFS, congratulations. Good job.
Him and Alex DeBrincat.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah,
that won some pools.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
All right, so we got a shorter show this week only because there's no Sunday stream.
No Sunday streamers, so we'll talk about what's been happening. Still do our ad drops for the week and guys that you can research over the break and player news and that good stuff. And we got a bunch of listener questions. The folks responded. We got one of our new patrons sent a question in. We got a few hits on Twitter, a few emails. So some good questions this week. I like it. And speaking of patron tone, I know that we've said that we're going to hook our patrons up with a new patron cast, and that will be next week, next Thursday. So February 1st, we expect to have that out. And we are going to be talking about risers and fallers and keeper leagues. So getting an early start on thinking about keepers, because I've seen a few questions come in, Tone, about teams preparing for next year. I've seen a league-wide email go out from a contending team in a keeper league to the bottom feeders, if you will, and say, hey, I'm still contending, but I'm willing to trade off some of my really good rookie young guys for some help. And I've already seen one of those trades come through, and your boy Nathan MacKinnon went away.
Really?
Yeah, the guy in the playoff spot traded away Nathan MacKinnon, but he got back Jamie Benn and another really good piece. But it was like like MacKinnon and somebody else for Ben and a defenseman. So it was actually a pretty solid deal. I mean, I know right now MacKinnon is en fuego.
Yeah. I believe he is 1 or 2 points behind, or did he jump ahead of Kucherov? He's right there. I know that.
Oh, hold.
I know he's very close. He is the reason why Colorado is where they are right now in the standings. I know that,
like, just bonkers.
They have that third line. That Soderberg line has looked really, really good. MacKinnon is just such a good hockey player, and it's nice to finally see him break out like he is. He's now played his way into the Hart Trophy consideration.
I believe so. Yes.
Oh yeah, you have to.
He is a point behind Kucherov. 61 to 60.
Think of the start that Kucherov had.
Yeah.
And how slow MacKinnon started.
Here's a bigger thing. And again, you know my feelings on MacKinnon. And I mentioned it in our All-Star episode when I selected him as my Western Conference center. And someone that just hadn't been living up to his potential. But now you look at it. Coming into the season, he was 111th ranked overall on Yahoo. He's currently 8th overall. Kucherov, 9th overall, currently 4th. And Kucherov, if you remember, I was taking him. We had a lot of mock drafts in the preseason, and we did the way too early mock drafts in July or June. And he was going like 4th, 5th after Crosby, McDavid, and why am I forgetting somebody here? Who was the other guy that was going up there?
Crosby, McDavid.
Was it like Ben that was going that high? No.
I don't know. I thought it was Stamkos, but
no, he was not. But Stamkos definitely was not going that high.
It was not Stamkos.
No, Patrick Kane.
Burns.
Yeah, it was Patrick Kane, Austin Matthews, Burns. Those were the guys that were up top. But then Kucherov started sneaking into that discussion from the tail end of the first round to all of a sudden he was going mid-first round. And you would actually see him going third, fourth in a lot of drafts. And again, started absolutely like gangbusters. But yeah, the fact that McKinnon is only a point behind him now really speaks volumes to how well McKinnon's been playing. And it's not that Kucherov's been awful. It's just McKinnon is just literally, it's like a reverse. It's that Kucherov is playing at a normal level and McKinnon is playing at Kucherov in October level right now.
That's ridiculous. So
these are the things that we're going to be discussing because McKinnon, 111th overall coming into the year, likely an 8th, 9th round pick. And now he's being traded for Jamie Benn, a first round pick who likely is not going to be a keeper in most leagues if you go by those types of rules. And you're going to get yourself some great value. It hurts, but you're getting back at least another first round talent. You're getting another defensive piece. And you're giving up, obviously, a huge piece in McKinnon. So those are the types of things that we're going to discuss on that podcast for our patrons. So definitely look out for that. And you have something else for our patrons too, Tone.
I do. We're going to start a group me page just for the patrons. You can talk to each other. You can talk to us. Float your questions through our community of fantasy hockey players.
It's like a hotline right to us. I mean, obviously, we have always done this with our patrons, and I know that a few of them, when they have subscribed to the podcast and joined Patreon, they have said this in their iTunes reviews or wherever they've left podcast reviews, that one of their favorite things about our show is that we actually get back to our listeners, and it's not just to our patrons, but especially our patrons, in a timely manner so that our advice isn't stale, that it's actually useful for your weekly roster decisions or trade questions that are on the table today. You don't need an answer a week and a half from now. So that's one of the things that I think this group me will certainly add some additional value for our patrons as they get into the trade season of fantasy hockey leagues, which, as we know, it's kind of after the All-Star break as to when that picks up.
That's right. And, we haven't really had this happen too often, but just for you folks out there, if you haven't heard back from us in like 2 or 3 days, send it again.
Yeah.
There's a good chance we didn't get it.
Yeah. Or we apologize that we actually were working.
Yeah. Well, it happens every once in a while.
It does happen.
So
incapacitated in some type. Some kind. I could be down in the bunker, just passed out. You never know what's going on down here some nights.
Yeah, well, I started working out, so if you haven't heard from me in a couple of days, it could be a heart attack. I don't know.
Let's avoid that.
Somebody will find me in the gym, like on the floor somewhere.
In a puddle.
Yeah, all right, folks. If you
get it started.
Yes. All right. If you enjoy listening to the podcast, you likely found us on iTunes, SoundCloud, or through our partners, the In This League Fantasy Podcast Network or the Grandstand Sports Network. Hopefully you subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Stitcher, or whatever podcasting app you choose to use. And wherever you are, when you subscribe, please rate and review us if you enjoyed the show. We love to receive the feedback, and we're happy to mention you on the show.
Speaking of subscribing to the podcast, I heard this listening to a podcast the other day, and I'm curious to see if this works. So I'm going to put a call out to our listeners and our subscribers, especially on iTunes, that these guys think that they figured out some type of way to kind of hack the iTunes algorithm, that there's somehow some way to move your podcast up the rankings. Because if you look at our show, when you go into the menu, there are some crazy, weird hockey podcasts that pop up when you type in searching for fantasy hockey podcasts, as we know. There are shows that are popular that have a lot fewer reviews than we do. And I like to think that we're one of the more high-end fantasy hockey podcasts out there here in our third year.
There's shows that haven't released an episode
and so in order to jump above some of those, what these guys were talking about, and apparently it somewhat worked. Now, there's always the tried and true method of releasing more podcasts, and we certainly have done like the daily podcasts and twice weekly podcasts, and that always helps. But these guys seem to think that if you get a bunch of people to unsubscribe and then resubscribe again, that it somehow messes with what iTunes is doing.
That would be hysterical.
I'm just telling you what they said, so I don't know. But they put a call to action out there on like a Monday, and because it's a football podcast and they're doing daily podcasts this week. So on the Monday show, they talked about this. So I was like, all right, yeah, sure, I'll do this for you guys. After I finished that podcast, unsubscribed, woke up Tuesday morning, resubscribed, and then listened. And by Wednesday's podcast, they're like, oh my God, we moved up so many spots on like the search engine. I was like,
that's great.
So who knew?
All right. So Monday's the day, folks.
All right.
Yes.
Just
unsubscribe.
Just unsubscribe and then wait 24 hours and subscribe again.
It's fantastic.
I don't know. What the hell? I mean, grasping at straws here.
We're gaming the iTunes system.
And all just awesome. For pure vanity reasons. I mean, it really doesn't matter. The people who want to find us have found us. The people who know about our show know about it. It's always nice to expand, welcome new people into our little community here, grab new folks to the Patreon page, which is awesome. We love the support. But at the same time, it's nice to kind of, when you go to that page, see the Roto Hockey Show logo staring at you. And that's, I mean, there's a few episodes we've had. Our most recent episode, Tone, is very highly ranked. So cheers to everybody out there in listener land for downloading it and listening to it as much as you have.
Even if you just use this for the Sunday streamers, it's well worth it because our Sunday streamers have been on fire this year.
Oh, boy. Last week's were like money.
And players to add, like I talked about.
Good run.
Yeah, I'm not complaining.
It's almost like we know what we're talking about.
I know, it's unbelievable, isn't it?
It is slightly bizarre.
Well, I know there's some people out there that want to know our feelings on a few things, Brian.
They do. And you know what? Since last week, they've sent us a lot of questions.
And we have answers.
You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Oh, my God. You can't handle the truth. Our first question from our new patron, Paul.
Paul, thank you again.
Yes. He has a question regarding his redraft standard head-to-head league with penalty minutes, shorthanded points, shots on goal, and hits. He wants to know who wins the trade. He gives red hot David Pastrnak and gets Tyler Seguin.
Wow.
Does dual position eligibility play into it for you? Because it did for him.
It did. Not necessarily. I mean, it would depend on the rest of my team, right? Like if I desperately needed a winger, then maybe that, or a right winger, for example, to get Pastrnak. But what's Seguin? What's his last few? No, he's center wing. Yeah, no, I am just looking at his past 2 weeks. No, I'm just looking at hot cold streaks because obviously Pastrnak and the Bruins have just been money for.
They have.
I think they have points in 18 straight games or some nonsense like that. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're adding Seguin, it's because you need a center rather than, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. But, I mean, you look at
numbers.
They do have similar numbers, but Seguin does have Pastrnak and shots on goal quite a bit. And he did say this is standard, and that is one of the standard categories. Oh, that is one of his categories. Shots on goal is huge. Neither guy are going to get a lot of hits.
No.
Neither guy are going to get a lot of blocks. No. Power play points, goals, and assists. Pastrnak, and he even said this in his email, is shooting at 16%, which is pretty high. You probably look for that to lower a little bit over the second half here, but I'd like Sagan. You know, you're going into the playoffs. You want to trust the guys that you have. Yeah. And as much as I love Pasternak, Pasta's a great dude. Great for fantasy this year. It's really his big breakout year.
Well, last year, 34 goals last year, shooting at 13%. 15 goals the year before, shooting at about 14%. So
he's young.
How much is the 16% going to come down? Maybe a little bit, but I mean, 45 points in 46 games is nothing to scoff at.
No, I totally agree. But you look at just shots on goal. Do you trust a guy that's got 195 shots on goal for the season or one that's got 126? Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
No, Pasternak.
Like I'll take the shot volume. I want the shot volume.
Yeah, that's fair.
And neither guy. Sagan, does he play on the penalty kill at all? He must, right? A little bit. I know Pasternak doesn't.
Well, I mean, wow, that's tough.
Shorthanded points is one of those ones.
Sagan. So, Sagan does have a shorty this year.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of those things where if you have 3 shorthanded points on the season, you're in the top 10.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Sagan has been pretty consistently a point per game player. Man, I guess I'm going to lean Sagan just because of the shots on goal. It's not a huge edge, but it's a big enough edge, and the center eligibility tips it in his favor. That's where I'm going to go.
All right.
I mean, you're talking about a first round and a second round pick for each other. I'd be curious to know what the justification was for the trade to begin with.
That's true.
You know, very similar numbers. It's like, what is one team gaining over the other? It's like you look at something like that, and you could just have someone who is a Bruins fan or someone who's a Stars fan, someone that's likes Pasternak and just wants him on the team. Who knows? You always see deals like this where it's like, well, what did you really gain in this situation? But you could have just a log jam of right wingers, and you get Sagan, you can move him to center and then be able to play other right wingers. That's the only way that I could see for doing this type of deal. You know what I mean?
Flexibility makes sense. Yeah. And some people, you know, if you like Pasternak better than Sagan, then you're happy to make the trade and so on and so forth. Yeah. So, all right, next up.
All right, Tyler. He wants to know who won this trade. Pretty standard categories. Add the banger categories of hits and blocks. He is trading away Marc-Andre Fleury and Paul Stastny. And in return, he is getting Gabriel Landeskog and Jake Allen. He also owns Andrei Vasilevsky and Sergei Bobrovsky. So quite the goalie stable there for Tyler.
Wow. Tyler, I think you got the better end of the deal, especially in a hits league. Paul Stastny is, as much as I like him, and I've always liked him, and I'm always waiting for that, that 1 year. It just never comes.
I feel the same about him.
He gets hurt a lot. As good as Fleury's been, he's been hurt a lot. Jake Allen is a solid goaltender, and Landeskog is going to be money in the league with hits.
Yeah, it seems like Stastny, you go back to his Colorado days and he had some amazing years, 70-plus points, 3 out of 4 years. Yeah, I mean, that's 10-plus years ago. With St. Louis, he's been a 40-point player. You can figure on 30 assists and 10 goals, maybe a few more.
In 60 games played.
Right, but I mean, this year, been very healthy, 50 games played. He has 34 points already. So he's having a better year than he has had probably the past 2.
Just means he's due to get injured.
That's true. It's just, he was waiting for that shoe to drop, right?
Yeah, right. Are you taking a hit in goaltending right now with the way Fleury's playing? Absolutely. But you have Bobrovsky and Vasilevsky right now already anyway. So you can take that hit, and you just upgraded big time at forward. Landeskog has played really well this year. He's on that McKinnon Rantanen line we were just talking about how well they've been playing, and Landeskog's a big reason why. I mean, he's the thumper on that line. He's the grinder. He's just that guy. So,
and I this is crazy, but last year, Gabriel Landeskog, 72 games played, 33 points. Ridiculously underperforming and throwaway year for him. This year, 43 games played, he already has 36 points. He has already eclipsed last year's total in 30 fewer games. So,
well, that was an epically bad Avalanche team.
That's an awful team, but they have been playing awesome. And you can still put up stats on a bad team. He just didn't do it.
Nobody did.
No. And so, well, just that's the turnaround. In fact, here's a crazy stat for you. And I know we put very little into this, but he is over last year a plus 39 over where he was last year. He was a minus 25 he finished last year at, and he's currently a plus 14.
Good for you, Gabriel.
Yeah. So,
well, his line scoring.
I like that deal. Again, you're allowing the other team to upgrade at goal. You're selling high on Stastny, but you're getting back someone who is performing a little closer to his rookie year and second and third years than he was last year. So, and getting Jake Allen, who, again, lost his job to Hutton, but still holds value on a good St. Louis team. And
he'll get it back.
I was just going to say, I don't think there will be any hesitation going back to him should Hutton struggle, or should Allen, let's say he gets a start or two and plays lights out, that they don't throw him another start and let him see if he can build on that and get his confidence back up. I like the deal for Tyler.
Good. Me too.
All right.
That means William is up, and he wants to know what to do with his team in the Roto Hockey Show Last Chance League.
Okay.
And that's that league that we put together in about, a day and a half?
It was like hours, it felt like.
It was crazy. He currently sits 10th in the league, and his team looks like this. So it's the standard Roto Hockey Show categories, head-to-head. So you've got your standard cats and then hits and blocks added. No penalty minutes, no plus minus.
Okay, gotcha.
So he's got Turris, Matthew Perreault, JVR, Brandon Saad or Boris Saad.
Boris Saad.
Blake Wheeler, Victor Arvidsson, Nikita Kucherov, Tyler Seguin.
All good so far.
Back-to-back picks, it has to be. Seabrook, Montour, Orpik Myers. There it is. Connor Sheary.
Off a cliff here all of a sudden.
Sheary, Daniel Sedin, Gustav Nyquist, Jan Krok, Zach Parise, and then Jeff Carter on the IR.
Yep.
So first things first, you have to stream probably three defensive spots because Tyler Myers has played well enough to hold one of those spots.
It's fine with Orpik's your fifth. You're just using him for
he's their fourth.
The hits and blocks. Yeah, I mean, the defense is really a shit show.
You are top loaded big time,
which is great. I mean, the forwards. I mean, again,
Kucherov, Seguin,
and Perreault and Turris are your worst forwards. I mean, that's a great stable of starting forwards.
Yeah, I wouldn't complain at all. Blake Wheeler's been fantastic.
Wheeler, Kucherov, and Seguin. I mean, Wheeler and Kucherov are two of the top four forwards in fantasy hockey. And then Sagan's in the top 10. So you have three of the top 10 forwards in fantasy hockey on your team. There's zero complaints that you can make.
Yeah.
The problem is that by having those guys, you have a defensive team with the guys he has.
His goaltending
is also a major issue.
Yeah. Anton Forsberg, Craig Anderson, Jeff Glass, and Corey Crawford on the IR.
And so I see what he did. He obviously has had Craig Anderson and Crawford grabbed both the Chicago backups when Crawford went on the IR. Now, again, Joe Quenneville seems to think that Crawford may come back. Last week, the report was he may be out for the year. We talked about it on Injury News. So obviously one of those or two of those guys are going to go away. I talked about last week that Craig Anderson was an easy drop for me. He has done nothing since then to disprove what I said about him. So again, I would drop Craig Anderson or package him with another forward to get yourself a goalie. And then I would go scour the waiver wire for a new defenseman or 2 or 3.
Yeah, he
There's
really
no way
does.
around it.
Seabrook's got to go, and I'm going to talk about Montour later. Myers is fine, or pick, like you said, that he gets you those counting stats, so that's useful. So you can stream those 2 spots. There's got to be a Samuel Girard out there that you can add when he's got 4 games. There's other guys too that you can look at.
There are a lot.
So yeah, that's where I'd go. Would you consider trading one of his 3 big forwards for a pair of good defensemen?
If I would consider trading one of those guys, if you got me a top 10 defenseman and a starting goalie, yes.
Top 10 defenseman and a starting, like,
it doesn't have to be an upper echelon goalie, but I need a goalie that's like somewhat stable, that I know has a job and will get me stats every week in my matchups. And I want a top 10 defenseman coming back.
So, man, that's a big. I mean,
for if you're top 3 forward, it's not like I'm asking for like Brent Burns. That would be ridiculous. But you're telling me you wouldn't give up, I don't know. You throw somebody out there. Doughty. PK. Klingberg.
PK maybe. Well, Klingberg right now is the
like
4th ranked defenseman overall. Doughty's
so
the
that's
3rd.
what I'm saying. So
if you got, let's say you got Klingberg and Henrik Lundqvist, let's just say
100% would trade one of those guys.
Do you care which one?
Yes, I do.
Start with Wheeler and work your way to Kucherov.
No, I would actually deal Sagan before I dealt Wheeler. Yeah. Just for name value, and because Wheeler just I love all 3 of those guys. But
what about say Seth Jones and Lundqvist?
I'm probably not moving those guys for that. No,
even though as good as Seth Jones has been,
that's not enough for me. I know Seth Jones has been good. He has similar numbers to Alex Pietrangelo, similar numbers to Shane Gostisbehere. I need more. I'm willing to take that defenseman. I need a better goalie than Lundqvist because the Rangers are poo-poo.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you're going to talk about a goalie coming back to me, I want someone like, Gibson maybe.
That's not bad.
Dubnyk, in hopes that he rebounds. I mean, you could. I don't know. I mean, do you go with Aaron Dell, who is stealing Martin Jones's job?
Well, Martin Jones is hurt. That's why. No, I wouldn't do it.
You give me Jonathan Quick and somebody, I'll make that deal in a heartbeat.
Bobrovsky, Rask.
Yeah. No, I don't think they're going to give up one of those guys, but
probably not.
You toss me Jonathan Quick or that's probably where I'm going, in that level of Quick, Gibson, and a solid defenseman, and sure, I'll make the deal.
Okay. All right. Good.
That's just me. I mean, what else are you going to do? You're going to flounder with 3 forwards like that and no defensive help and 0. You're going to lose your goalie stats every week. So what good is it to have those guys if your goalies are just crushing you? And that really, I think, needs to be the position that's addressed. I think you're going to need a good defenseman coming back, but I really think you need like a great goalie. Now, you could obviously just trade it straight up for a goalie, but really,
no.
What are you going to do?
No, he's in the position where he needs depth.
Yeah.
This is where the 2-for-1 makes sense for somebody. So, William, listen, start shopping him around. Don't take the first offer that comes along and negotiate.
Yeah. All right. I have another question that came in through the Twitter from a different William, and he wants to know a trade question. He receives Torrey Krug and Ryan Kessler. He gives up our boy Ricky Raquel.
Krug and Kessler?
He receives them. He gives up Raquel.
And
this is what he said. He said he's desperate for some D and scoring. #trade. So I like it. I like that he dropped the hashtag phrasing in there.
I know how good Kessler was last year, but he was hurt coming into the season. It takes people a little while to get back. Is he going to outscore Raquel the rest of the season?
Raquel last year, second half, just.
I mean, he's got 36 points right now in the season, 18 and 18. And I think he started, what was it, the first week or two he was hurt?
Raquel, yeah. I mean, you just look at him over the past month, and you're talking 7 goals during that time frame.
I don't know. What's the defenseman again?
Krug.
Yeah, all right. That's yeah. Krug has been on fire with the Bruins. He's their number one power play. Believe it or not, it's not McAvoy. It's Krug that's on the number one power play. Yep. He gets a ton of shots, and he's scoring this year. Yeah, I do the deal.
Yeah, so do I, because I like Kessler eventually. Now, will he be back to what he was last year and the year before? A 50-point player playing. I mean, listen, he's had 12 games in. He had 4 straight healthy years, which is amazing for someone that plays that style of hockey. 40-plus points, 2 of the years, 50-plus 2 years, including playing all 82 last year and getting 58 points. Now, I don't expect that type of production coming back. No. However, 5 points in 12 games so far. So
that's true. And he's got JT Brown on his line.
I mean, so half a point a game, figure he plays another, 30 games here, 35 games. You can figure on potentially 15 to 20 more points. So 30 more points out of Kessler would be a best case scenario.
Yeah, and for that to happen, he is going to have to get moved onto that first power play unit. I think they're easing him back. I know it's been 12 games, but when you miss as much time as he has, that's not a lot. And remember, he was deadly on that first power play unit. And right now, if it's me, you've got Adam Henrique and Corey Perry that I find expendable on that first power play unit. And probably it's Henrique because they don't need 3 centers on the same power play unit. And you can move Henrique to center, Soferberg and Ritchie on the second unit.
I mean, I think you will take a hit the rest of the year on goals. I think Raquel obviously still on a 30-goal pace, and I don't think Krug and Kessler score as many goals the rest of the way as Raquel.
Combined, you don't think?
No, I don't.
Oh, man. I feel like
you want to make a little side wager here?
I'm seriously considering it.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Krug.
All right. You read it down. Krug and
I mean, Krug last year only scored 8 goals. This year he has 7 already. So
his shooting percentage has been absolutely abysmal since he got into the league.
Yeah.
Here he's finally getting
it's at 8%, which is more along probably.
It's like double normal. What he was.
Yeah, that was more than double of what it was last year, and the year before that, forget it. It was less than 2%.
All right, so starting tomorrow. Even though there's no games.
It'll come from whatever Monday is coming off the All-Star break.
So Tuesday's game 1.
Sure.
So whatever Tuesday is, Tuesday to the rest of the end of the regular season.
Let's how about this? We'll spot each other the first couple games next week. We'll say from February 1st for the rest of the season. We'll make it easy to remember.
Okay. February 1st for the rest of the season.
Unless somehow Raquel gets like 3 goals on Tuesday, then those count.
Always moving the goalpost, Brian. Good Lord. All right. So,
but you like the deal for William?
I like the deal.
Yeah.
Do it. All right. Now we got a long question here.
Oh, boy.
From one of our longtime patrons.
Oh, but then that's okay then.
All right. So Nick O, he has a long question. We were actually able to help Nick out this week. Did you know that? I don't know if you saw it, but he had
groceries. How the hell did we help him?
Yes, we sent him out. So he is from the great state of Michigan.
Okay.
He's in the Detroit area, and he has a local league. And one of the guys in his keeper league backed out, and he asked me if I would send a tweet out to people asking them if there was anybody interested that's local to Michigan in joining his local league. Not within a minute and a half from when I tweeted it out, did somebody say, "Hey, I'm interested and I live right here." So they got together and it looks like he filled that spot in about a minute and 30 seconds.
That's awesome. See, bringing people together.
Bringing people together. That's right. All right. So Nick's league, It's a 12-team points keeper league that is goals and wins heavy, and you get bonus points for defensemen scoring.
All right.
You're allowed to keep 4 players this year. You can give out 1, 2, or 3-year contracts, but you're capped at 1 3-year contract.
Okay.
All right. And you can only re-sign a player one time. Keepers are due February 11th.
Wow, that is early.
That is really early. All right. So he's having trouble picking his keepers. Right now, he's going to give Lane the 3-year deal. Makes sense, right? And Vasilevsky a 1 or a 2-year deal.
All right.
I think that's got to be a 2-year deal.
I agree.
Now, who are his last 2 players that he keeps on his roster? Tavares, Ben, and Backstrom are not keeper eligible. So that leaves Ben Bishop, Alex Pietrangelo, Kopitar, James Van Riemsdyk, Phil Kessel, Dougie Hamilton, Claude Giroux, Jonathan Drouin, Mikko Rantanen, Cam Fowler, PK Subban, and Charlie McAvoy.
I have my answers.
Do you?
Yeah.
I am torn here big time because I want to say 2 defensemen, but then I look at Rantanen and Kessel.
I picked Kessel 100% immediate. That was like, I looked at the list and I'm like, Kessel, done. The next guy, it took me a little, but I talked about him last week. He is on my Western Conference Fantasy All-Star team. I've read a couple spots where people have him for an early Norris Trophy favorite now that Victor Hedman is down. And that is none other than your boy, Pernell Carl.
Yeah, I really like PK, but I wonder on that Nashville team if his points totals are capped. Do you know what I mean? Like, as much as he plays with all those other great
up and down next year, potential more of Ryan Ellis. Then you could do Subban for a year, and then actually you could do Kessel and Subban for a year, and then Vasilevsky for 2. Is that how that works?
Well, you can do 1 or 2 years.
Oh, all right.
So you're only capped at 1 3-year deal.
Yeah.
And
all right.
Patrick Lane's got to get that 3-year deal.
Sure, I agree with that.
Boy, it's really hard for me to throw back McAvoy and Rantanen.
Not for me.
I would love to look at what Kopitar's doing this year. I would love to keep him on a 1-year deal.
And I like
too.
Pietrangelo too on a 1-year deal. That St. Louis team, obviously pretty solid. I love Dougie Hamilton. Giroux has come back, hooked up to the Juvenation machine. He's just too old, I think. And that's kind of how I feel about Kopitar. JVR, not really a choice for me. Drouin, you shouldn't even have him on your team anymore. He should have been dropped when we told you to drop him, Nick. Bishop, also not a thing. So it really leaves you down to, it's PK for me.
All right. So you're going Kessel and PK.
I am.
I might go. Oh boy, I really want to go Kessel and Rantanen. You know how much I love Rantanen.
I know.
I really like Subban a lot too.
But I feel like you're going to be able to get Rantanen. But it's not like Rantanen's going to get grabbed by somebody else. You know, it's like he'll be back in the draft. You can get him next year.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think his value is going to go up so high that drafting him is going to be out of way out of whack with what his normal value would be. Obviously, you're going to be pulling 12 teams, 48 players out of the draft pool each year, right? 12 teams, 4 keepers each.
Yeah. Yep.
So
48.
You're whittling off 48, and it's not necessarily the top 48.
No, it's not necessarily. And remember, you can only re-sign a guy one more time. Right. So there's going to be
that's where
on to keep things fluid. I like it.
Yeah. And I think if you do the 1 year with Subban, then maybe you draft again someone like Rantanen, someone like McAvoy, with the potential of then changing those guys from Kessel and PK a year or two from now.
Well, he's drafting.
Those are obviously older players to be hanging on to in a keeper league, but they have shown this year that they are still elite fantasy hockey performers. So I would keep them both for another season.
All right.
Make sure you grab players like Rantanen and McAvoy, and then have this discussion again next year. But I think that's for me. Kessel, Pernell Carl.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on Kessel, and I'm good with Subban too, but I wouldn't be opposed to McAvoy. I think I'd keep McAvoy over Rantanen, which is crazy to say right now.
Yeah.
But we do know one thing. It looks like Nick's going to be drafting in the back end of the first round because he's 12-2 right now.
Oh.
So it's like a long playoff run is in his future. Honestly, if I was him, I'd be looking at flipping a Rantanen and a McAvoy to see what I could get for players that somebody's not going to keep. If you're
That's
not going to keep,
I mean, you do have All-Star weekend. You got a week and a half to make hay and see if you can't sell off a couple of those pieces to teams that might not have as good of keepers or want a younger set of keepers for their league. And maybe you could grab a guy that would be more valuable than PK.
That's it. All right.
So
there you go, Nick. Hopefully we help.
See if you can get yourself Klingberg.
Oh yeah, seriously, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Good Lord, that defensive core would be insane.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right, that's it. That's it for the mailbag. It was a pretty long one. We talked a lot about it.
We had some saved up, so it's good.
We do. There's really not much in player news to get to here, Brian.
A couple injuries. A couple guys coming back from injury.
How many of them are just because they don't want to play in the All-Star game?
True. Well, we do have some surgeries as well.
We do. Let's see. Who do we have first up for surgeries?
Well, the big one was Joe Thornton. I think he just had it today. And as a matter of fact, San Jose announced that he's out for weeks with his MCL or
week to week
or something like that. So
yeah. That's no good. And then, Martin Jones on the same team was down. But yeah, Thornton hurt his MCL. So right now he's week to week and he had arthroscopic surgery. So that stinks for Joe Thornton. And the other big injury, well, we talked about Victor Hedman last week.
Yeah.
I know I'm missing somebody here. Who am I missing? Taylor Hall with his hand injury.
Injured. Corey Crawford is injured.
Yeah, we talked about that last week too. So I
didn't mean Corey Crawford. I meant Corey Schneider.
Yeah, that's a groin.
Sorry. Yeah,
that's a groin.
Pulling on it.
Goaltenders and their groins. I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, McAvoy had like a little irregular heartbeat thing. We just talked about McAvoy. He, I don't know if they were saying that he was having a procedure and should just missed a week, but that sounded somewhat frightening.
Yeah, it was an abnormal heart rhythm. It sounds terrible.
I know it sounds crazy. Sebastian Aho, we talked about him. He's obviously continues to be out with a multitude of injuries. Brandon Dubinsky.
Yeah, well, that
career in jeopardy because of personal issues, whatever that sounds like. Now, I don't want to even remotely speculate. I've seen rumors and other innuendo online, but who the hell knows? But Columbus was like, go get yourself straightened out.
Well, he got into that fight, right? And he got smoked, the poor guy. So he breaks his orbital bone, and then he wasn't with the team, and they said that they parted ways due to medical issues, and he'll rejoin the team after the All-Star break. So I don't know. It's one of those things where who knows?
I don't know.
The Athletic is reporting something different. So
yes.
Everybody
Nuge got hurt. I think we talked about that last week. James Reimer, groin. He's out for 2 weeks. So I'd mentioned Florida's backup, but he has just gotten shelled.
No, don't do that. Stay away. Stay away from
If you're gonna sign a Florida goalie, make it Roberto Luongo, who could be back from his lower body injury in early February.
Mm-hmm.
Who else is there?
Let's
see. Anybody? Shattenkirk. He's out for a bit. I think we talked about him last week. So,
it was right after our show.
All right, Shattenkirk.
He's out indefinitely
for a bit.
With his knee. Yeah.
So that's obviously a significant one right there. And I'm going to talk about kind of a replacement for him later on.
That's good. And then Philadelphia, Michael Neuwirth continues to be the
Elliott
the guy.
Injured.
Elliott.
Although Neuwirth had been playing well until this exact evening, he gave up a 5 spot to Tampa tonight. So
yeah, that was due.
Yeah. So
be looking for Mark Scheifele to get back. They said mid to late February, and we're quickly closing in on February. So that's about it. Like I said, there's not much. There's a lot of guys that are nicked up that decided not to go to the All-Star game, like Jonathan Quick.
Right.
So
yeah, a few of those. So
yep, that's it there. Brian, why don't you tell everybody about draft since we've been
draft? Everyone's been on there. It's been great to see the amount of contests that have been going on. So did you know, Tom? Did you know, listeners, that your chances of winning on draft are 80% better than on salary cap sites? That's why you need to try draft. No more getting smoked by the pros. More than 1 million people have already downloaded draft. You can play in real live NHL drafts right now, be done in under 5 minutes, and get paid out the next day. Drafts are filling every second, so you can join one whenever you want. And all new players get a free entry into a real money draft when you make your first deposit, but you have to use the promo code NHLRoto. That's right. Play in a real money draft for free just by using the promo code NHLRoto. But it gets even better. Draft is so sure that you'll love it that they're even offering Roto Hockey Show listeners a money-back guarantee of up to $100. Just search for Draft in your app store or go to draft.com and come play free right now with the promo code NHLRoto.
Dude, it's so cool. They opened up best ball leagues for football already for next year. And I know we're a hockey podcast, but a lot of people that play fantasy hockey also play football. And Draft is one of the only sites that have best ball leagues for next season already drafting.
Crazy.
It's awesome. And if you haven't played in a best ball league, give it a chance. Give it a try. It's a lot of fun. You pick all your players, and they take whoever scores the highest on your team each week, and they're the ones that start. And whoever accumulates the most points at the end of the 16 or at the end of week 16 wins the whole pot.
Yes.
So
good times.
Give it a shot.
Yeah.
So just a little update there.
Yeah, so when you're coming back out of the NHL All-Star game next Tuesday, next Wednesday, a bunch of games.
Oh, Tuesday, definitely. We'll have draft and FanDuel rolling for sure.
So
I wish they did it for
join
All-Star game.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
That'd be crazy.
Seriously, we could do a draft for the All-Star game. They should, because, I mean, you've got the 4 different teams, right?
Yeah, I don't know how you're doing that. Anyway, all right. Ad drops for next week. Ad drops coming out of the All-Star game. Ad drops. What do we have, Tom?
All right. So week 17 of the fantasy hockey season, January 29th.
No. It's still going to be week 16. At least on Yahoo, it's still week 16. They made it 2 weeks.
Oh, did they? Whatever. All right. Well, week 16 for some, week 17 for others. Whatever. Yeah. All right. We'll stick with the continuation of week 16.
All right.
January 29th to February 4th. The All-Star break ends Monday, so it's only a 6-day week.
Yes.
5 teams.
Time to set your lineups.
That's right. 5 teams play 4 games. Carolina, Montreal, Ottawa, San Jose, and the Vegas Golden Knights. Arizona and the New York Rangers only play 2 games, and the Edmonton Oilers only play 1 game coming out of the All-Star break. Is that not crazy or what?
They've been on a break for a while now.
That hurt.
Listen, if you're losing to the Sabres 5-0 at home, you have some major issues.
This is true. This is very, very true.
All right, Tone, if you're looking at a forward, where are you going?
All right. I looked at the teams that are playing 4 games next week. Carolina has the easiest schedule, so I went with Elias Lindholm, 12% owned. They're playing all home games next week, and he plays on the top line with Jordan Staal and Teuvo Teravainen. He's also on that top power play unit. Next week, they play Montreal and Ottawa, who sit 8th and 9th in shot attempts against. That means they give up the 8th and 9th most shot attempts against at 5-on-5 in the league. Carolina has the 3rd most shot attempts for in the NHL right now. I'll gladly take a chance on him, even though they do play Detroit and San Jose, who are sitting in the top 10 in the NHL in shot suppression. Elias Lindholm looked good tonight. Montreal and Carolina had a 6-5 game. Carolina had a 2-goal lead twice in the game that Montreal came back and stopped. And each time they did that, they tied the game. Carolina went up again within like a minute and a half. So Montreal scores, Montreal gives up a goal. That's kind of the way it is. You think you score 5, Carey Price is going to get you the win. Oof. Not tonight.
That's right.
So, all right. So Elias Lindholm's where I'm headed. What about you?
All right. I am going with Travis Konechny of the Philadelphia Flyers. 19% owned, but the month of January, he has been as hot as, well, a lot of players, or more than a lot of players. I mean, he's not Nathan McKinnon or Jack Eichel right at this moment, but this month, 6 goals in 10 games to go, and 3 assists to go along with that. Playing on the top line with Couturier and Giroux right now. He actually has a 4-game goal streak heading into the All-Star break. He scored again tonight, the lone goal against Tampa. He had the game winner in overtime against Washington the other night. So just playing with a lot of confidence right now, getting a ton of shots on goal. I mean, he has just during this 4-game goal streak, he has had 15 shots on goal in 4 games, a power play point. So getting some time, special teams time. So it's good to see. I mean, he's obviously been someone with some offensive upside, but now getting a chance and showing what he can do with it. So strike while the iron's hot and grab Konechny. Hopefully he doesn't cool down with the break and he can continue to play like he has, because again, this month he's just been playing terrific hockey. So
high pedigree coming into the league, good hockey player. Nice to see. Defense now, I am rolling with Carolina again and Jacob Slavin. He's only 11% owned, but the same reasons that I mentioned in going with Elias Lindholm. He's going to get you plenty of blocks no matter what. So if your league counts blocks, he should definitely be an ad if you're looking to stream a defenseman. He gets 22 to 25 minutes a night, and he's on the second power play unit. All in all, with everything that he has going for him next week, he should be a solid ad. What about you, Brian? Where are you headed?
Oh, way off the board. Way off the board. A 2% owned player, but I talked about Kevin Shattenkirk's injury earlier in the show. And the Rangers went, and you thought like maybe Brady Shea would get a little more run. No, they called up Tony DeAngelo, and he has played 3 games. Well, tonight makes it 4. By the time they're playing in San Jose right now, they're on the West Coast swing. But in the 3 games he has played thus far, 2 assists and a power play point to go along with 6 shots on goal. And he's got some hits. He's got some blocks. So he's contributing all over the board right now. And they've brought him up to quarterback one of the power play units there on the Rangers. So again, could he kind of fall flat on his face and not produce much? Sure. But right now, again, in 3 games, he's been active. He's been involved. The Rangers are using him. So if you're going to trot him out there, again, he's on that second power play unit. The talent level isn't nearly as good as it is on the first power play unit, but it is special teams time. So it's obviously worth something in fantasy leagues. And as we know, offensive defensemen are tough to come by, and any points are good points. So a speculative ad with Tony DeAngelo.
I like it. Right. A big piece of that Derek Stepan trade from Arizona.
Yes.
So, next up, goaltenders, and I'm going with Toronto's backup, Curtis McElhinney. I know. He's only 3% owned, but Toronto plays at the New York Rangers, and that's the game that he should get the start. If I'm looking to pick up a win next week for goaltenders, I'll take a shot with him against the Rangers, I suppose.
Yeah.
All right. What about you?
I'm going with Casey DeSmith just because we don't know when Matt Murray is going to come back. Obviously.
Well, he backed up tonight.
He did. Okay. Well, then maybe DeSmith isn't the greatest choice, but keep him. He's made 4 straight starts, 3 wins, W again tonight. They do have 3 games next week. So maybe they, one of which is a back-to-back with Washington and New Jersey. So yeah. If Murray is back, do they start him all 3 of those games, or they give Smith one of those or 2 of them? at least for next week, then hang on to DeSmith. I mean, he's only 18% owned, and worth, again, so many of the goalies that are worth having are already rostered in many of these leagues. So right now you're always looking for kind of those backup goalies that you can go and grab. Casey DeSmith right now playing as well as some of the others. I mean, we talked about Anton Forsberg and Jeff Glass in Chicago. Those guys are certainly worth a grab.
Well, I mean, you look at DeSmith, it looks like he'll get the game at the Devils, I believe. And with Schneider hurt, Kincaid right now is on the IR.
Yeah.
So New Jersey starting Ken Appleby or Mackenzie Blackwood.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that about Appleby. Appleby got another start tonight, a 3-0 loss in Nashville. I mean, he came in and played in that game in Philly and stopped all the shots that he faced. Same in Boston, came in and relief and stopped everything, but just doesn't have kind of probably the amount of starts or what you're going to look for. But I mean, again, for teams that are starved for goalie starts that might be dealing with injuries, these are the types of guys that you have to look at. And again, I mentioned this earlier. Take a look and see if Luongo's available in your league. He's supposed to be coming back in the next 2 weeks. He's still on the IR. You could do the old pickup, put him on the IR, and then go find somebody else. So if that's something you want to do, that's definitely worth it.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
All right, Tone, you're this week's keep an eye on player. Who are you looking at?
I feel like I'm cheating here a little bit. Esa Lindell's 21% owned. He has 7 points in his He has.
Do you need the calculator?
7 games. Sorry. He plays 7 games over the next 2 weeks, and a lot are on off days. So that's Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, Sundays. Right now, he has 98 shots on goal and 75 blocks on the season. He's getting 20 to 23 minutes a night on the second power play unit. He's been pretty productive in the last week, netting a goal and 3 assists. He's really, really been playing well. If anything should happen in Klingberg, that's the guy moving up. So I would definitely keep an eye on him. And if you need a defenseman the next 2 weeks, like I said, 7 games, 3 this week coming up, 4 the next, and he plays a lot of off days. So just somebody to keep an eye on and just to have there in your back pocket in case you need something.
All right. My keep an eye on player, shockingly, is Kyle Okposo of the Buffalo Sabres.
The guy you dropped like a month ago?
Yes. And actually, it was longer than that. It was back in November. Well, guess what? This, since after Christmas,
it's been good.
He has 8 goals and 20 assists on the season right now. Well, since Christmas, 2 goals and 10 assists. So nearly half of his assists and a quarter of his goals have come this calendar year. So he is obviously playing very well the month of January, multi-point games in 4 of his past 6, playing on the line with Jack Eichel, who is one of the top 3 hottest fantasy performers in hockey right now. So if Okposo, they're playing tonight in Vancouver, they're up 2-0 as we speak. If he can kind of continue this coming out of the All-Star break, they have 2 relatively easy matchups, I think, at least goaltending-wise. We just talked about these guys, but they're playing the Devils at home and playing the Florida Panthers at home, both of which are starting minor league backup goalies right now because of injuries to their netminders. So something to look at, potentially grabbing him and using him in those 2 games coming out of the break next week.
All right. That's going to bring us to players to drop.
Yeah.
And my drops, it stinks because he was good at the beginning of the year, but Brandon Montour of the Anaheim Ducks, 46% owned. He's got 2 assists in his last 11 games and only 3 assists in his last month. He He has 6 goals, 15 assists on the season, but he's not doing much on the second power play unit, and he's only getting between 13 and 15 minutes a night. Fact is, he's become a streamer at best at this point. He got more playing time earlier in the season because there were a lot of injuries. He's just not getting it anymore, so it's time to move on. Find the next hot hand.
Yeah. Well, I am also dropping a defenseman, and I can't believe I'm saying this because this is someone that I was pretty high on this year, but it's Nick Leddy of the New York Islanders. He is 65% owned. He has not scored a goal in 2 months. He has 8 assists since December. And you're telling me that at 64% owned, you'd rather have Nick Leddy than who am I going to say that you would rather have Nick Leddy over?
I'm sure.
Pick a guy. Pick a guy. Who's my boy that I've been banging the drum on for 2 weeks, 3 weeks now, Tone?
Oh, Alex Edler, of
Alex
course.
Edler. Do you want to know what Alex Edler is? Past 7 days, top 10 fantasy performer. Past 2 weeks, top 10 fantasy performer. The past 30 days, Tone, he is the number 2 fantasy performer in all of fantasy hockey. Go look it up. I didn't make this shit up.
No, I mean, when you use peripheral categories,
I'm sorry.
I'm
not really sorry.
Like blocks and hits, then
you add it all in. And you're going to give me Leddy with this nonsense, and then you're going to tell me Alex Edler at 25% owned, who has put up 2 goals and 15 assists in when's that been? How many games has he played? Let's just look at the amount of games that he's played, Edler, because he came back from injury. He has 2 goals and 15 assists in 36 games played. So
there you go.
Pretty close to half a point a game. And that doesn't take into account, like you said, the number of shots on goal, hits, and blocks that he has continued to put up. I mean, I just look at it at the screen. You see 7 shots on goal, 5 shots on goal, 6 shots at goal, 3 hits, 4 hits, 6 blocks, 4 blocks, 5 blocks, 5 blocks. And that's going with, 2 assists this night, a goal and an assist this night, 2 assists that night. Points are points. Like, forget about the names, people. Look at the statistics.
There you go.
Drop Leddy. Right. Please go. I'm not going to stop my Alex Edler campaign until he's 50% owned. I'm sorry.
I'm telling you.
Nick Leddy, GTFO.
All right. That's it. Nick Leddy's gone, which means with our luck, he's going to score a hat trick.
No doubt. You know what's going to happen. I just put the reverse jinx on Nick Leddy is what just happened.
Oh, every time this year. It's been
crazy.
Like
a few of them haven't sustained. It's just been like this, like one time, like 2-3 game blip on the radar. It's like I put up some type of bad karma into the universe and these guys realized it.
We said drop to Shane. I think it was me that said it, right? Or was it you?
It was me.
Whoever. Yeah. Well, there you go. You said it. And then the next game he had like 3 assists.
Yeah.
It was,
yeah, fun times. Anyway.
All right. Next up,
what do we got?
Beer League Fantasy Producer of the Week.
Easy.
Oh, yeah. I think
it's your boy. You do it since it's your boy.
Nathan MacKinnon, the aforementioned Nathan MacKinnon, and his 4 goals, 2 assists in 3 games played. This kid is in the heart race right behind Nikita Kucherov. His last 2 months have been absolutely amazing. Like you said, en fuego, to use a Sports Center reference. Dan Patrick, I think, right?
Yes.
He's just like that whole line. Him, Rantanen, and Landeskog. We talked about him, what was it, 2 weeks ago? I think he was our fantasy producer of the week. And this kid just keeps producing, just keeps scoring.
And the team just keeps winning. I think they finally lost. They had a 10-game win streak going.
They lost to Montreal.
The other night. Yeah, which I know, really, like, of all the games you would have picked them to end that streak, that wouldn't have been the one.
No.
Yeah. Good stick taps to Nate.
All right. All right, folks, that's it. That's it for the show.
Yeah, that's it for our quick show. That's an hour plus already.
And well, lots of mailbag questions, good mailbag questions.
We got babbling again.
That's what happens.
That's okay.
All right, folks, if you enjoy the show, please rate and review us on iTunes or wherever you listen to us. And remember, you can find all of our shows and all of the other great ITL fantasy podcasts on the ITL homepage, inthisleague.com. And boy, are they right in the middle of basketball. They've got the fantasy baseball prospects.
I was going to say basketball. They've been doing baseball. It's awesome.
Prospects 1 going. They've had mock drafts for baseball. They're just going bananas. Like Welsh has been tweeting out pictures of winter games. Like I
don't know where they have the time for this, but
good for them.
Yeah, no, they're certainly
they're tearing it up. So please don't forget
really
to check
great
them
stuff
out
lately from those guys. So
and don't forget to check out our friends on the Grandstand Sports Network. You can find our partners online at www.grandstandsportsnetwork.com and on Twitter at grandstand_SN. And you can support our podcast by becoming a patron of the show. Visit our page to see all the great extra benefits we give to our generous donors. That's patreon.com/Roto Hockey Show. And depending on your level of support, this could include extra content and interaction with us, bonus podcasts, and exclusive Roto Hockey Show swag.
Nice. All right, folks, during the All-Star break, if you can think of some questions you want to get in the mailbag or questions for keepers, whatever, roster decisions, ad drops, you name it. Find us on Twitter. Hit us up there at Roto Hockey Show. You can also find Tony at T_LOC11. You can find me at NHL Roto. You can also shoot us an email, which is also very welcome. NHLRotoTony@gmail.com and NHLRotoBrian@gmail.com. All right, Tone, before we go, skills competition, always fun for the kids. Which event would you do best in?
Oh boy, that's a tough one. I would love to lie and say the accuracy. Definitely not the accuracy. Not hardest shot either. So nothing to do with pucks or skating. I think I could get pretty creative in the breakaway competition.
What about, okay, that's
no, you know what? No, honestly, I think
what about
my best event, stick handling. Yeah, not too bad. Honestly, the one event that I want to do the sauce toss.
Oh, there you go. All right.
I think I can do the sauce toss passing.
Yeah. All right.
That would be my one. What about you?
I would have to go either fastest skater.
Yeah, that would be good for you. You're pretty quick.
Or in a pinch, I could go accurate shot, but I don't think I would be like nearly as good as other guys that we play with. But it would be like, oh, okay, I guess I'm going out to do that. But easily fastest skater would have to be mine. That's
all right. I like that.
All right, good.
I like that.
All right, it's definitely not fastest or hardest shot for either of us.
No.
My shot would get slower as I got to the net.
Is hitting the goalie kind of quick?
Right. For some people, it is.
Yeah. All right, folks.
All right, enjoy the All-Star game. Enjoy the skills comp. Gather the kids around to watch it. They always have fun. And we'll see you when we get back next week.